What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are back today with a quick update video in regards to Apocalypse and how he's going to be released now overall. We got a little bit of a clarity from Scopely, but even further beyond that, guys, I did want to quickly chat because I noticed some comments in my videos below about how this is going to be pretty frustrating for players, especially given now that we got some clarity from Scopely in regards to his unlock and how it's going to get done. So if you guys checked in game here, as you can see on screen, the updates can include playable characters as per usual with the newest Scourge events coming. They like to set up teams and whatnot, combinations for us to get ready. There's going to be a new Doom raid, new event campaigns, Alliance Wars updates, and so forth. But the biggest one is being notable is this new Pestilence chapter of the Apocalypse Saga. So this is going to be specifically for Morgan Le Fay. And I do believe running in tandem with this is going to be the second running of the Pestilence as well, giving folks another opportunity to unlock Morgan Le Fay. So that's that, guys. What I've built is actually a quick little table here, as you can see, kind of detailing the different dates and kind of what I'm thinking in terms of the Scourge, right? And I think some of the frustration right now in the game from players is that Scopely's actually done a phenomenal job in communicating everything, because from the very beginning, they've been better and better in terms of communicating, and I actually love the fact that they spent so much time on a blog post to give us details on how Apocalypse is going to get unlocked. And keep in mind, guys, whenever these folks make up these blogs and so forth, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be something that's going to be kicking in tomorrow as an event. The fact that you're giving us so much time to prepare actually is doing players a wonderful time in terms of preparation and kind of anticipating what's going to be the outlook for the next year and a bit. Think of the blog post as more of a 2022 second peek of what's going to be the changes coming in the second half of the year, right? Almost like that preview we see at the start of every year. But yeah, with the spreadsheet, guys, you can see here I kind of just used some guesses and estimations here in terms of how the Scourges are going to run and the estimated dates. So you can see here I aligned the April and July most previously here with Pestilence and Famine for Morgan Le Fay and Rogue. And then afterwards, it was confirmed via blog post that all the Scourges are going to at least run one more time before Apocalypse. So that's where I have Apocalypse on the very bottom here. And it makes sense right now that he's likely going to be in earlier next year. Definitely not before the end of the year, just given the timelines I'm kind of seeing right now and guessing based on what we've seen right now with the previous Scourges. But I'll tell you what, once the second running of Morgan Le Fay comes, we're going to get a lot more clarity in terms of how this timeline is going to change. But preemptively, you can see almost every month for the rest of this year, we're going to see some updates. We're going to see some changes with respect to Scourge. So you can see Pestilence and Famine are now completed. I expect either late July, early August, we're going to see the second running of Pestilence, and then followed by War. The War Scourge is likely going to be in September, perhaps early October, but likely September. And then that's going to be followed up again by the next running of Rogue once again as the second running of the Scourge. And then last but not least, I expect late November, early December, so forth, we're going to see the Death Scourge being the final one to kind of wrap up the year and really give players a conclusive summary of all the different Scourges. Shortly afterwards, I would expect War and Death to be rerun again. So that way it allows players to have a second running of this to generate as much charge as possible. And then finally, in anticipation for Marvel Strike Force's anniversary, being the 5th year anniversary, which is very notable. So I would definitely expect that to happen in terms of the likelihood. I think right now, based on this timeline, based on the number of characters we've seen getting released, this is a very probable scenario, guys. So in this video, wanted to give you guys that input there in terms of the timeline potential, because you can kind of mentally wrap your head around, oh hey, like if this is going to be happening in the span of 8-9 months from now, it's not something we should be worried about, right? Like not immediately anyways, because I know a lot of players might get overwhelmed in the sense that, oh wow, in order to unlock Apocalypse, we're going to need all these different teams just to go through the Scourges to unlock these legendary Horsemen. And then only then afterwards, you still have to bring up the legendary Horsemen and all their teams, plus the Unlimited X-Men, plus Heroes as Guardians, so forth. All these other teams in order to unlock these legendaries, in order to actually be able to utilize them to unlock Apocalypse. So I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it's definitely going to be a grind, but I think that given this clarity, given this guideline, we're getting some really good information here in terms of how to prepare, and which teams and characters to build. And it's nice in the sense that we do know who to build. It's unfortunate that they are limiting us to specifically these teams, but to be quite honest, guys, it's also very exciting, right? For us to know in advance beforehand too, building up these rosters, it gives us a purpose and a reason to build these teams up as well. But yes, I do resonate with those who feel like some of the theory crafting aspect is getting taken away. But keep in mind too, Dark Dimension's always going to exist here for the folks that are getting through it, and that's where the majority of the theory crafting is. But I think because they created this specific event, they need to have this control over the team, so that way they can also kind of align that difficulty level to really allow players to figure out and solve problems with these given team sets. So timeline, guys, so that's pretty much the run through of the timeline. Now, how do I think that's viable for a free-to-play player? Well, keep in mind, guys, I'm 100% free-to-play. I'm actually, let's see here. I will show you guys my combat power so you can get a sense. But 13.5 million and achievement. I should be well over 900 days now. But let's take a look. 928 days logged in. So that gives you a sense in terms of and I've been pretty much able to keep up the game. I don't think I do anything special, but I am a very active player. I got an amazing alliance. We run Doom 2.3 60% every day. So I mean, at the end of the day, it really just depends on the characters and teams that you can build. But I do have to admit that the longer you've been in this game, the more resources you're going to have to build up teams, and that does give me flexibility over those who just started, right? So keep in mind, when they make up these events that are going to be run for all year round, it's not going to be intended for a brand new player to get into, right? It's kind of like when this new Dark Dimension 5 came out, only the whales, only the best players in the game, the top 10, top 20% were actually able to get access to it right away. Even then, I haven't wrapped up Dark Dimension 5 yet, but I'm very close. And that's pretty much 8-9 months after the first mode was originally announced, right? So I think Dark Dimension 5 was available in the later half of last year, and it's almost the end of July here, and I've been almost able to complete it. So that gives me promise that in about 7-8 months, I feel like I'm gonna have the comfortability to actually be able to complete it, especially if you're a late game player watching and as well as following along in terms of the progress. I think we all stand a good chance. It's just unfortunate that the newer players and the mid game players, because of that bottleneck and the lack of time in the game, with resources getting built up, you're not going to have as much flexibility, and that's maybe where you're going to be prone to spend money in the game, right? I feel like that's where some of the frustration can definitely come from. But something else I wanted to show you guys to give you a little bit more comfort as well. I actually went through this year, so 7 months in the year, there's definitely several teams I've already built up from scratch, and I kind of wanted to show you guys because it is pretty insightful information here. So if you recall, this year a lot of good stuff came out in terms of teams and combinations. I'm very, very picky with the teams I build up. I need a really good reason to bring them up, and obviously at the end of the day, these Scourge events have really pushed me to that limit here. But you can see here, I'm not running out of gold anytime soon. My power cores, I'm super frugal, actually, and I usually only open up my gold orbs when I amass at least a bare minimum of 100. So I got 86 sitting here. So yeah, you can tell this is not a whaley account, but the way I'm hoarding resources and being frugal, it's in anticipation for events like this, right? But the other insightful thing that I want to show you guys that might share a different perspective in terms of the resource management and so forth is I want to show you guys all the teams and characters I've built up since the start of the year. And keep in mind, these are all teams that were not previously built up previously in the last year because I wouldn't have had a reason to build them up. So that's going to include characters in team combinations like the Young Avengers, who I needed recently for the Scourge events. I needed the Web Warriors, who became a new Bio City Notes team, but I also utilized them in Dark Dimension 5. And as well aspects of the Dark Code because I wanted to be competitive in Arena. So I'm just gonna slowly scroll down here so you can see, right? That's 5, 10, 15, 20. Just less than 20 characters that I've built up, almost to G16. So G16 is the bare minimum requirement for Dark Dimension 5, but you can see most of these characters are G15, which is actually the difficulty 2 level to unlock Apocalypse. So the reason why I want to show you guys this is because in the last 6-7 months, I've been able to build up all these teams, and keep in mind, 100% free to play. So that's why I for seeing this from a free to play account, guys, I think there's going to be some pretty good time here if you manage resources. Something that's definitely changed the game a bit as well is the Cosmic Crucible. If you guys are going to do anything in game, make sure you're being active in Cosmic Crucible, because this is generating a lot of good fragments here to actually go through the Cosmic Crucible aspect and being able to purchase this and slowly build up your supply here. And even then, keep in mind, guys, you don't even need this the G16 gear, because at the end of the day, to unlock Apocalypse, we only actually need to get through level difficulty 2 of all the Scourge events. And that only actually requires G15, which is actually all the characters here that aren't in the teal gear, right? So that's like Chavez, I got Miss Marvel up there. You can see I already brought up quite a few G16 characters already, and that's because I utilized them in Dark Dimension 5. But 15 to 20 characters since the start of the year, guys, and that's in the last 6 to 7 months that I've needed them for Scourge or other aspects, right? So we still have another 6 months left to go in the year, and we still have a few months early next year in anticipation of Apocalypse. I hope Scopely does do a better job and maybe giving more materials, but overall, I definitely think it's possible, especially if you're more of a late game player, already having resources and teams built up previously. Unfortunately, for the early to mid game, I think that's where you guys are going to have the hardest time. It's just because of the time in the game, amassing resources and hoarding. It definitely matters, right? That's not something you can replace. I guess you can with money, but I don't think it's worth it, to be honest. I think we should play the marathon game here and just be patient and keep playing. And as well as, especially if you enjoy the game, what we've seen so far too is there's always opportunities where there's very generous events that give you a lot of rewards too. So that's kind of why I'm always appreciating as well here and there. But not every event is whale heavy, so keep that in mind, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to share this free to play perspective, guys, because I definitely, when I saw the release of the news on Apocalypse, I was actually pretty excited, even as a free to play player, just because it's going to be the next big thing in the next Dark Dimension stage in this game, if you will. And just remember, like, end game content released in any game, it's not going to be readily available to the early game player, to the mid game player, but it will be available to the free to play players. So as long as you're patient and playing the game smart, but as well as play at your own pace, play at the way that makes you happy. At the end of the day, it's not going to be a race. I was never racing to get Dark Dimension 5 done. Probably could have gotten it done sooner, but I'm still taking my time with it because just been busy with life and whatnot. But yeah, overall, guys, I hope this perspective is able to at least give you some insight and maybe share a different side from an angle where we can actually just play the game that we want in the pace that we desire. And at the end of the day, I'm excited that these are some really cool events coming up. I think we're living in a pretty awesome time for this game, and they've been really being able to push all these unique events on us. So I really do appreciate that as well. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I definitely would love to hear back from you guys. Thank you as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.